Welcome back to Barbecue and Bottles, and today we've got another episode in our steak experiment series. I don't know what episode we're up to, maybe it's 25, maybe it's 30 at this point, but today's I am super excited about seeing the final results. So we're gonna do our usual cast iron skillet sear here. We've got 2 USDA prime ribeyes. One of them we're just gonna do using our traditional method and use a butter baste. The other one, we're gonna baste it in bacon fat. So this is bacon fat. This is just from a cook over the weekend. We did up about 1.5 pounds of bacon, got a ton of grease off of that, cooled it in the fridge, and now we're gonna put it to the test. Let us know in the comments below if you think butter's gonna taste better or a steak basted in bacon fat. So for the ingredients here, we've got some sea salt. We're using Maldon flaky salt. We've got some garlic, rosemary, we have salted butter, and we have bacon fat. And then you're gonna need an oil as well, a high smoke point neutral flavor oil like avocado oil, and you're of course gonna need a cast iron pan. So we're gonna be using this bad boy, this skillet right here. But to start, we've gotta season up these steaks. Now again, we're starting with some really well marbled USDA prime ribeyes. And I wanna bring you in here really nice and close. These are ridiculous. Just look at the marbling on these. So we're gonna get these seasoned up. We'll go in with a generous amount of salt. Of course, put on the amount of salt that you feel comfortable with and that's right for you and your family. Get both sides here. Just look at that marbling. Really, really incredible. Perfect. So now we're gonna take it outside for the cook. So for the cook, get the side burner of your gas grill on here and heat up the cast iron pan. In the case of the butter steak, we're gonna start with avocado oil. We're gonna use our infrared temp gun to make sure that we get a temp of somewhere between 450 and 500 degrees Fahrenheit before we drop our steak in. And we'll get that searing on our first side. We'll let that go for 3 to 4 minutes, and then we'll flip. At that point, we're gonna add in our cube of butter. We're adding this in at a later stage so that the solids in the butter don't burn. And we're gonna crush a few cloves of garlic. We're gonna crumple up some rosemary, get those aromatics in here, and then we're gonna periodically baste that steak, just getting that frothy butter over top of the steak. Now for the bacon fat steak, we're gonna follow this exact same method. The only difference is, because we've got bacon fat, we're gonna be able to put that in straight away. It's got a higher smoke point than butter, and so we can skip the step of avocado oil at the start. We'll get the steak down in there, searing away, again, 3 or 4 seconds on the first side, then we'll flip that over. Now we'll add in the garlic, the rosemary, and then continue to baste that steak, but this time with bacon fat and not butter. Now we're pulling our steaks once the crust's formed here, and we've got an internal temperature reading about 128 Fahrenheit because we're looking for a medium rare. Then we'll let these steaks rest for about 10 minutes, and of course, it's time to then cut in, do the taste test. So I've got the steaks inside. These have been resting for 10 or 15 minutes and I can't wait to dive in. They smell incredible. So we've got the butter steak on this side and we've got the one seared in bacon fat over here. So first, looking at the appearance, they look more or less the same. You know, maybe the bacon steak is marginally darker, but I think that really is something that's on the margin. Now for the crust, as you drag your knife along the surface of the steak, solid crust on the butter basted, and frankly, a solid crust on the bacon. Now I'm gonna say like maybe the crust here again is a little bit better. You can hear that, and it's nice and uniform across the whole steak here. A little quieter, and we've got some more gray patches. I'm gonna mark that just down to cooking and not actually a difference in terms of the actual butter versus bacon fat. But now we've got to actually cut into these guys, see how they turned out, and do the taste test. So, slice in. So just looking at the doneness here, we've done these almost identically. Again, we pulled them when we hit an internal of about 128. So you've got that nice medium rare on the inside, the typical gray band that you normally get when you're searing a steak off in a cast iron skillet, but this looks absolutely phenomenal. The fat caps are beautiful on both of these steaks. So now I'm gonna carve in, do a taste test. You know what, I'm gonna start with the regular steak. That is just so good. That USDA prime, all the fat rendered down over the course of the cook, there's a ton of juice in there. You get hints of rosemary and garlic. This is just, frankly, in my mind, this is frankly a textbook steak. So now we're gonna compare that to the one that was actually done in bacon fat. Now what I'm curious about here is whether we can taste any type of bacon profile. I'm thinking we might, but you never know. You definitely get a hint of bacon. It's not nearly as prominent as I was expecting, and that is a delicious steak. I mean, the bacon is not overpowering. It adds actually a really nice little flavor profile and change to this. So overall, how would I rank this experiment? In my mind, I actually like the bacon fat steak just simply because when you finish frying up a whole bunch of bacon, you don't need to waste that rendered fat. You can just pour it into a mason jar, let it cool down, keep it in your fridge for weeks, if not months. And so don't waste things, just keep a little bit of bacon fat around and you can sear up a steak just like butter. I'm not gonna say there's a huge difference here. We looked at doneness, we looked at the crust, the flavor profile, you get a little bit of a change, but not that material. So all in all, I just think, why waste rendered bacon fat when you can save it and sear off a good ribeye? So if you like this video, smash that like button like we smashed this garlic. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to check out any of our other steak experiments, go check out one of the playlists around here. We've got a ton of these. Again, I think we're on probably episode 30 at this point. We've done a bunch of myth busting around different steak experiments. So thanks for tuning in and we'll see you on the next one.